in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to another episode of Genius Brain Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything. And today we have a very, very special guest. A guest who I have been trying to get on here forever, but she refused to come on here in the beginning and got upset when I had other people on here instead of her, because I told her that she would be the first person here to do this. But she said that she didn't want to, so I moved on, which makes no sense at all.
Yeah, you moved on way too fast.
I did not move on too fast. It was 3 weeks.
Hey, you got to give me some time to think about it, okay? I'm not used to this kind of stuff.
You literally did a sketch.
That's because all I had to do was hit you and curse at you, which I am totally fine with. But not this one. This is like a lot of talking. And I got to be careful what I say.
You know what people don't know? If you guys don't actually know this, if you go back onto my YouTube, there's a sketch on there about Kim Jong-il that I had a friend on with Arden Cho. So it was me and Arden Cho, and she was playing my wife. And Mariel was a PA on that set, and that was the first time I ever met her, and it's caught on camera. The very first day that we ever met.
Yes, that's true.
And the first time I met you, you know when I first saw you, you know what I thought to myself?
You didn't like me.
I didn't think anything about you. Very much. It's because I was working.
Yeah, and I didn't really think much of you too, because you were wearing socks and slippers. No, socks and flip-flops.
So?
And I was like, what the hell is this?
I still wear flip-flops and socks.
Not in front of me, though.
That was the first time that we met. And then we met another time after that. And it's when she decided to be a guest or a co-star in one of my fake Korean Nike commercials.
I was supposed to be your mom. That was it. I was supposed to be your mom, and I was supposed to curse at you, but I didn't want to curse because I didn't know how to curse in Korean. So I was like, can I just punch you? And you're like, let's just try it. And then that went really well. And next thing I know, you're like, can you be my girlfriend? Can you be my wife? And I was like, And
that's when you fell in love.
And I was like, I feel so naked.
That's when you fell in love with me.
Nah.
It's amazing, man. Dude, she was all over me, dude. She couldn't.
OMG.
She was.
Really?
So you were all.
That's all you saw.
You couldn't get enough of me, dude. You were like, dude, who is this guy?
I have to say though, you were really funny, and I was like, man, he's gonna be a great friend if we keep in touch. But I never thought like more than that. No. Hell no.
Why? Okay, why a hell no?
Because I didn't know you. It was our first time talking to each other. Because the first time we met, we didn't speak to each other.
Yeah, but the second time I talked to you a lot.
You did.
I remember what you were wearing too. You were wearing that white Johnny Depp blouse, the Pirates of the Caribbean white blouse. Okay. And then you were wearing your fire pants, as I call them.
Fire pants. Well, it's also recorded in the video, so yeah, it's easy to remember.
No, I just remember because I'm a good boyfriend, and I remember how cute you were.
Aww.
Yeah, and then you looked at me, and you're like, "Who's this hunk of fat Korean right there?"
I was just like, "Oh, you're actually funny." Because at first, I was like, "You seem like a douchebag."
Wait, well, what? How did you even come to that conclusion?
Because no. I didn't think you were a douchebag. It was just like, oh, I didn't think much of you. And then the second time I see him, I'm like, wow, this guy talks a lot and he's funny. He's nice. I'm like, that's cool. And then I remember we were in that room alone right before we had our dinner. And
I was mad flirting with you.
Dude, that was kind of scary. I was like, why are you holding somehow you held my hands. And I was like, no, okay. So I walked away.
Was I holding your hand? I remember I was just trying to like test you out and feel you out to see if you, and you kind of let me. I was like, oh, she might kind of like me a little bit.
That's when I was like, no. That's why I walked away, because you gave me that look, and I was like, that look is kind of bimyo. Oh, which means I don't know how to say it. Bimyo.
Bimyo is
bimyo, like not awkward, like odd. 이상해. Yeah.
Yeah, but you still came back for some more.
Did I?
Well, we're together, aren't we? What do you mean, did I? You were together. You and I are in a relationship right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then I realized you're actually a nice guy.
But I don't understand what made you think I wasn't a nice guy, though.
Well, it was my first time seeing you. You were so confident that I felt like you thought you could get me right away. And I was like, who do you think you are, thinking that you could get me right away? Oh, to be honest, that's how I felt. I was like, this guy, because you text me after. You're like, oh, I think we should hang out. And I'm like, 알아. 웃기셔. You thought, because I was thinking like, oh, you think you could get me right away. It's like, as if. So I text you back and I was like, oh, 보자고, right?
Yeah.
I think you saw it. I was like, oh, we'll see. But for me, I was like, 보자고.
Yeah, but you still hit me back up though.
Yeah.
Well, so this is what
3
happened,
weeks
right?
later.
So a few weeks after that, so what she did, and she said she didn't do this on purpose, but I think she did. She left her watch at my place. She left this rose gold Cartier watch at my place. And I was like, whose watch is this? Right? And then I just started asking around and I deduced that it was from you. And I was like, this girl Cinderella slippered my ass, dude. She Cinderella slippered my ass. She goes, oh, I'm just going to leave my watch here and see. And how'd you just happen to leave it at my bedside table? Oh, because I would see it and hit you back up.
You mean because we were doing a bed scene, so I had to leave it there?
Yeah, that's what they always say, okay?
Oh my God.
You left that in plain sight for me to see, and I picked that up. I was like, okay, so she trying to see me again.
Damn, me and my habits.
So I got her numbers, and I was like, okay, tippa, typa, what's up? And then she had to see me again because I had her watch. And so we met back a second time after that, or this is the third time, at our friend's shabu spot that she was opening up in K-Town. So when she opened up that spot, our mutual friend Ed was there and she was there too. And I was like, cool, I'll see you there. I decided to give her which then. And of course, lo and behold, I asked when we were going to hang out again. Right? And she gave me the same bullshit answer, 보자구, which means we'll see. So she did that crap again. But the reason why there's a funny moment too in my Instagram. If you guys look back far back into my Instagram, there's actually a picture of her. And this is a picture of her holding a plate of random vegetables. So during the opening, right, she did the most Asian thing. So she got invited as a guest and then there was leftover vegetables. And she went up to my friend and she goes, are you just going to throw this away? Can I take it home? So she literally packages up everybody's veggies to take it home.
Untouched veggies.
Untouched veggies.
Because they're going to go to waste. It's like, well, I had got no food at home. Might as well take them. I mean, less trash for her, right?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is dope.
But I have to ask you, though. Because you put a hashtag that says my future wife.
Yeah. That was a joke.
That's kind of ironic.
Yeah, it was a joke. You know what I mean? You know, just because I saw, oh, this girl's like super frugal, that like that's a down ass bitch. That's what I was thinking in my head. But after that, and I asked her too, like, when are we gonna hang out? And you agree that we were.
Did you like me more because of that?
I don't know if I liked you more, but I thought you were really, really attractive. That you just had like something fun about you. I didn't know what it was yet. And mind you, what you don't know is that during that time too, I wasn't thinking about settling down or trying to be in a really serious relationship with somebody until I was 30. So the age that I am now. That's when I was thinking, okay, I'm going to like do some serious dating. Until then, I was just going to date around, mess around and just do whatever. But prior to that, I already decided in my mind that, hey, I'm not going to settle down with anybody. But then I saw you and I was like, okay, well, if I see something in this person and I choose to ignore it because I set up this rule for myself. Nobody pressed that rule upon me. I created that rule in my own mind. So I was like, okay, well, that's dumb. This is an opportunity and you should take it. So I decided to pursue you. And it took a very, very long time. It was, I kid you not, from the moment that I met her to our first date, which I say is our first date, it took about 2.5 months. It was like 2 months to 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Because after that shabu thing, you didn't hit me back up for like another month. You just disappeared.
I was busy.
You were not busy. You were interning at Full Screen.
Well, I was hustling. I was trying to find my future career at that time.
Did you know what you texted me?
What?
Like, I didn't hit you up. You hit me up after a month.
Yeah, because that's when I was like, because I got really busy with the project that I was working on. And then when I was coming towards to the end, I was like, oh, yeah, I should probably hit him up now.
And you were like, so when are we going to go out to eat?
Yeah.
And a month passed. I was like, who the fuck is this? I was like, a month passed.
Were you going to give up on me?
I already moved on from you at that point.
Really?
Because I've already
tried once.
No, multiple times. I tried when I first met you, right?
But you didn't ask me out.
I technically did though. I hit you up and I was like,
you mean in a passive way?
That wasn't, how was that passive?
You texted me once. I'd be like, hey, let's hang out. That was one time.
I was like, you're really cool. We should hang out sometimes, right? And then there was the watch thing. Then I hit you up again. That's twice.
Really? You hit me up twice? No, I thought it was just once.
No, the first time was after the sketch and I had your watch and I used that as a segue to ask you out. I was like, yo, we should hang out. Let's kick it. Let's be around each other. And then you're like, 보자고. But then I had your watch. So that's why we saw each other again. And then after I gave you back your watch and we had the shabu thing, I asked again. And then you did that pojagu crap again.
Really?
So I was like, all
remember
right.
once.
So I just waited. I didn't want to pressure you. I already put myself out there twice. So at that point, I'm thinking, yo, if she wants to hit me up, the ball's in her court. So I've already expressed how I felt and that I was interested. And then you hit me up a month later out of nowhere. So I was like, who the hell is this?
But you were still interested.
I was like, cool, let's try this out.
Asa.
And then we went on our very first date, which you say wasn't a date, it was a date.
Okay, how is a date if it was a place where you didn't even like and I picked the place and I came with my bicycle on my gym outfit? How is that a date though? Like that wasn't a date to me. That was just more like let's really just hang out.
It's a meetup date kind of thing. And we met up for dinner.
Yeah, but it was like at a place that you didn't even like.
And we met up for dinner. And I got a freaking ticket. I got a ticket that day coming to see you.
That was a sign. You should have known. That
And
was not a date.
You were
night.
wearing this like weird hat. Was it like Goofy on it or something? But it was
there was like eyeballs.
There was eyeballs all over. I was like, who the hell is this?
That's exactly because it wasn't a date for me. It was just, hey, you said let's hang out. You didn't ask me out on a date.
But we went
Why
to dinner.
can't you be more straightforward, David?
Well, I wasn't sure. Well, it wasn't like a very formal date though. But I was asking you out.
So you have different kind of dates? Like there's a formal
There's
date
like a date where we go out,
date?
where we go out, I buy you dinner, I probably dress up a little bit. This is it's like if you were on a dating app, right? You meet up with that person the first time, you're probably not going to be dressed up all the way up.
I wouldn't dress up the way I did.
Well, I don't know who you are at that point.
Oh yeah, I guess you kind of saw the true self of me.
Yeah, and I made it clear as possible that I was interested in you. So it wasn't like I was, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, because I didn't know you, and I know you as like David, the comedian guy who has a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that world is, and if someone in that world all of a sudden gives me interest, like I don't know if this guy's just playing around and being serious, Like,
but even if I wasn't playing around being serious, I clearly wasn't trying to meet you up just to be your friend.
Right.
But
you know what
I
also didn't know if you just wanted to hook up.
But that's your problem too, though.
Well, as a girl, you got to be careful, especially in that
No,
industry,
you have to be careful, right? But you're not careful like that with other people.
I know what you're talking about. But I am careful enough where I don't go to that extent,
Like you're not careful. Every time we've had, okay, we'll bring that up in another
Sure,
conversation.
yeah.
We'll talk about
that
that
one's a little bit, yeah.
That was so annoying. But so anyways, we meet up at this place. I think it was called Sage Bistro.
Yeah, it was a vegan
it's
place.
It's a vegan place. And the first thing I did when I sat there and I looked at her, I goes, are you vegan? And she goes, no. I was like, thank God, then this might work out.
Okay, because the thing was that I was new to Culver City, right?
Yeah.
Or the location, and you were like, oh, we should have a dinner. I'm like, great, do you have a place in mind? And you're like, do you have any place that you like? And at that time, I was really into vegan stuff, like exploring vegan food.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, let's get vegan food then if you don't know any place. Like, I only know one place, Sage. And you're like, he texts me back like, are you vegan?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I just like vegan food. And you're like, okay, then I can meet up with you.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that you hated or you're not a big fan of vegan food.
It's not that I'm not a big fan of vegan food. It's I don't like vegan food that tries to be something that it's not. So for example, like vegan pizza, they use cashew cheese. Like just don't use cheese. Like you don't have to make something into something else, right? Unless it's like Buddhist, Asian, Vietnamese food. They do a really good job.
True.
And you know why? It's because these monks for 10,000 years were working on this recipe. So I'm pretty sure they got it down pat. It's just I don't like American vegan food a lot. It tastes like something that it shouldn't taste like. Because they're trying to make it taste like something else. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah, I guess.
So that's why I didn't like it. But we met up at the Sage Bistro thing, and then we had a good time. I remember you were cracking up, you were laughing. I was making you laugh, and I was like,
really?
oh, you were laughing, dude. I was like, this girl. Of course, because you were laughing so hard, it just fell out of your memories. And then, and then you rode your bike, and you're like, well, I'm gonna bike home, and it was super late at night. It was dark, and I was like, no, like I'll drop you off. And I just got my Jeep.
I know,
right?
Your new Jeep, and you had a blanket for some reason.
Because I was moving stuff in and out into that apartment in K-Town. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll drop you off. Just put your bike in the car. And it's not like you just did it out of nowhere because we already met before. We have mutual friends, so it wasn't like too weird for me to say that we've met twice. You worked on my set twice. So we already had somewhat of a relationship.
I was still like a little bit iffy about it. I'm like, it's a very big car.
Yeah. I mean, we met each other. We were going back and forth. We had conversations on the phone. We know each other's friends. We have mutual friends. So it's kind of like, It wasn't a weird situation for you.
It wasn't a random stranger. So
Exactly.
that's why I took the offer. If not, I'd be like, hell no, I don't know you.
Yeah. And so
Thank goodness.
I dropped her off. And this was the funny thing too. So I don't know what it was prior to other guys that tried to date you before. But so when we were there, and this is such an interesting situation. So she actually knows this about me now, but I'm a very, 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 very straightforward person.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hyper straightforward, like almost to a fault, which is why I tend to get in a lot of trouble because I've learned now to hold back a lot more, but and specifically just being in this relationship has taught me to be very careful about my words instead of just saying what's on my mind all the time, which is dumb.
I'm glad you know now.
Yeah. So when I was saying my goodbyes to her, I was going for a hug, which I hug everybody, whether I like somebody or not. And I go for a hug and she gives me this, the crappy girl hug. There's like a specific technique. It's like when you do a deadlift, right? So,
Deadlift.
like you just kind of like posture your shoulders up. You just spread out your chest a little bit, ass out.
Stiff.
And then she makes it super stiff and she gives me that tap, 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 tap in the back.
Heck yeah.
The little tap on the back. And I got this hug and I looked at her and the first thing I said right off the bat was what?
Like, oh, you need to give me a better hug than that.
I was like, oh, you don't give very good hugs. I was like, oh, by the way, we're not friends.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, I told her straight up, I go, we're not friends. And I remember you were like, what? What do you mean?
I know.
And you were laughing. And I was like, we're not friends. I'm not trying to be your friend. We're dating.
That was a shock for me because no one ever said that to me before. And none of the guys, at least, I was dating.
Yeah.
Or who wanted to be more than friends. They would never say that. I don't know why. So that was like actually a shock because I didn't expect that. I didn't even know like someone would ever say that.
Yeah. Well, because you gave me the hug that made me feel that you were trying to put a friend zone boundary on me, right? Like, oh, we could be friends, and you gave me that crappy hug, and I was like, oh, well, let me just. And I don't like the thing where I'm not trying to do the Korean oppa thing that I talked about, right? Where I try to be your friend, try to be your spiritual leader, and then I'm like, oh, by the way, let's date. Like, I don't have time for that. And I think number one, it's deceptive, and I think that it's very cowardly, So for me, it's like I'd rather set my expectations up front so you don't have to guess what type of guy I am. I want you to know who I am up front, and if you don't like it, then you have that option to say, hey, I don't feel that way about you.
What's interesting is that I'm so used to the other method, and I find that very natural. I think it works in some ways as long as, they're both on the same page. But when you said that to me, I don't know why, but that worked super well. And I didn't expect that, where I was like, oh, we're not going to be friends. We're going to pass that and just move straight on to dating.
Yeah.
If it works, And it's like that phrase was stuck in my head for the longest time.
Yeah. And you know what it is too? It's not like we went straight to dating either because you and I already met each other before. We joked around. We had conversations. So yeah, it is kind of sudden, but I've already set a precursor to that because we had conversations before,
And I saw you with your friends, like how you interact with them, and it was really cool. I mean, yeah, I think if I didn't see that, I think I would be a little bit more hesitant because I don't know who you are.
Well, of course, like when I say these type of things, people are like, oh, maybe I should try that. I was like, but there was a lead up to it. It wasn't just right off the bat.
Yeah.
It was studied in kind of in context, but not really because we already met before. We joked around. We
messaged each other a lot.
Exactly. So that's the difference. And so when you gave me that hug, I already set up a foundation for this, and then you give me this crappy little tap tap friend hug.
Well, I didn't know you enough to give you a good hug. Not that
Yeah, but that thing was like, I was like, hell no, you ain't gonna do that to me.
After everything I've done for you, this is what I get?
I invited you to my friend's opening restaurant to eat some shabus.
Oh, hold up. Actually, let's be fair. That wasn't from you. Ed invited me.
Okay, whatever. Either way, she was my friend too.
Don't try to get the credit for that. Ed, thank you, by the way.
Either way, you would have been invited either way. So
were you trying to invite me?
Well, it was either going to be the shabu thing or I was going to invite you to get your watch again and we were going to meet up again. So.
And you did compliment my fanny pack.
That's right, because I dig fanny packs.
Oh, not anymore. You don't like my fanny pack.
Well, because it got incredibly dirty. Even Becky doesn't like.
It's just faded.
It's dirty as hell.
It's well used. It's been all over with me. It's been in Taiwan, Korea, and here with me.
And hell, it's been to hell too.
Hey, look at your boxers. Okay, you have nothing to say.
I threw away those boxers.
Wait, the one that you didn't want to throw away, you threw it away?
Yes, the one where my ball sack went through it. I threw.
Gross. I did not have to know that.
I threw it.
Did you really?
I threw it away.
Finally.
I didn't actually want to. It just disintegrated.
Ew, gross.
It disintegrated like a piece of tissue paper
If I
in a
see
bowl of
any
water.
of those in
They're
front
not
of
there.
me,
They're gone.
okay, great.
I've had that boxer since since my freshman year of college.
That's so gross.
What do you mean? It was washed.
Yeah, but it's like worn out, leathered. Ugh.
It's gone though. It literally tore apart.
Good.
So it's done. So it's
Okay.
gone.
Mine hasn't been torn apart. It's just washed out.
Yeah, but mine was pretty bad though.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then I kind of set that precursor where I told you this is what we were, and I remember I kind of left at that note and I moved away. So in your mind, that kind of stuck in your head though.
Mm-hmm. And then you invited me one night to help you out with this script really late, and that actually freaked me out. Do you remember that?
Oh, did it freak you out? I thought it was okay because you've been to that house before and I had roommates there.
No, nobody was there, and it was super late on. Like, I thought I was gonna be there maybe for an hour or two, so it's like, all right, dinner time, you know. But we ended up like working on it for hours. It was like after midnight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna have to call 911 soon. I was so scared.
Oh, really? Just because I thought you've already been there, and then I had roommates too, and then
Your roommates weren't there.
oh, they weren't?
It was just us two. So I was kind of, I mean, I didn't see any like intention, like bad intention that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But still, like, it was late at night. It was this big empty house with just the two of us. And I was like, oh, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have come
Oh,
here.
really? I had no idea. Well, it's not like I was like hitting that day. I was not hitting on you at all.
No.
I was exhausted because I was
Yeah.
just trying to get that script done.
Yeah.
So I was like in my shorts and my shirt. I was like, all right, well, what does this mean?
Yeah.
It was very unemotional. I was exhausted.
Well, that's where I was like, oh, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Luckily,
Of course, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was trying to get work done.
Yeah, and I realized how much work we had,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god, I just want to finish this. So that was all my motivation.
Oh, same here. I was tired.
Good, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that was just it.
Yeah, and then we had that, and then after that, we decided to. So here's the thing: we're gonna fast forward through.
Are we gonna talk about our relationship?
We are. We're gonna talk. People want to know about this stuff. Right? I really want to talk about this.
Yeah. Okay.
So during this time too, we were in an open relationship, meaning that we weren't really committed to each other specifically. We were just trying things out, and we were dating, going back and forth. She was on like a dating app or something, and she was dating some white dude. And
It wasn't a white dude.
it wasn't.
Redhead. No, Russian.
Yeah, white dude.
That's a white dude. Oh,
Oh, I guess not white dude, not white American. He's a Russian dude. And so she was just like, oh, she would do this childish thing, which I hated.
childish.
was-
And I love how you still remember every detail.
I do remember
about
every
it.
detail because
You need to move on.
I did move on. This is just very interesting.
So
So she would do
gonna-
this thing, right? Where she would test me. I fucking hated
Why
it.
do you have so much emotion if it was just a memory?
Because we're telling a story, dear.
you say it was childish.
You don't think it was childish?
I don't think it was a childish. I think it was just, real. I was like, I don't know who to. I won't say any much because I want you to tell the story. But then, like, I didn't know how real one was than the other.
Yeah, but you would do things where you would pit attributes against mine.
I was just poking you. I was teasing
That's
you.
childish.
No, that's just flirting, David.
That is the worst way of flirting. That was not
Excuse
flirting.
me. Do you know how you flirt?
Yes, I do.
It is not attractive at all.
What are you talking about?
The way you flirt, you make me mad. You make me turn off, man.
What are you talking about? Hold on, we'll talk about that.
Okay, fine, fine. Talk about my story.
So she would do this thing, right? Where she would be like, oh, well, this guy, well, he likes to go mountain biking. He likes to do this. Do you like to do that? And I was getting so irritated. And I was like, first of all, I'm not a baseball card. We're not trading stats, And so she kept on doing this over and over and over. And mind you, like I was dating other people too at the time too, because we were just keeping it open. And so for her, the thing that annoyed me the most was when she kept on doing this thing. Well, this guy does this guy does that. And you didn't even really like the guy either, right?
Well, clearly, because I chose you.
Yeah, but that's what you were. It was so annoying. It's like you didn't even like him that much.
Well, what made you want to pick me over the other many girls you were dating?
Well, that girl was just more like she was already in that process. Because when I decided to go after, remember I told you I was just dating, right? So prior to you being there, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this one's very, very interesting. So the other girls were kind of like, we were like in a very flirtatious friendship type of thing. And then the girl that I was dating at the time, she's the one that brought it up and said, hey, why don't we just try this? In my mind, I was like, it's not going to work out because that's just how my gut felt about the girl.
Oh,
But-
how come you went for it?
Because she asked, and she was brave enough to say, hey, like, I know we're friends, but how come we don't just try this out? And I guess that you could say I respected that a lot. And I was like, you know what? Like, we are good friends. I don't feel like this will work out, But because I'm just in a dating stage right now, I might as well just give her the benefit of the doubt and try it out. Did not work out. Absolutely not. Terrible person.
Well, you guys aren't friends anymore?
We're friends.
Oh.
But she's not... if she's listening to this, we've already had this conversation before, so I don't feel bad saying it.
Okay.
But she, number one, was hyper emotional. She knows this about herself. And the type of stuff that she was saying to me and getting angry about is stuff that I experienced like later on in a relationship type of thing. But when we're just dating, it should be fun and we should just get to know each other. So if we had a disagreement about something, she would snap and get angry. And that was a complete turnoff. I was like, oh, you don't know how to have a conversation with the human being. You just know how to get angry. And when somebody opposes a thought that you have, you think that that person is attacking you personally, right? Which you used to have a little bit too, but hers was so extreme, you know, and I didn't like that. So it would be something like this, like, let's say it's the color red, right? And I'm like, it looks more maroon. And they should be like, no, that's red. And I'm like, are you sure? Because like the tint might be a little off. She goes, it's freaking red, okay? Like that's how she would respond. And I'm like,
dang,
nah, that's not working out. And when I sensed that type of like aggression, I was like, you got a lot of issues and I'm not willing to deal with it because you can't talk to me like that.
And you weren't really at a stage where like, I'm going to make this serious either way. You already took it very light.
Exactly. So like with that, as we were dating, that started to fizzle out. And I was like, okay, well, this girl's a lot. She seems way more compatible with me. And then we had a conversation. I remember because we used this app called
Kakao.
Kakao. And we were going back and forth. And she kept on doing this thing over and over. And I finally snapped.
Okay, go on.
What were you going to say?
I wanted to mention that one time, by the way. It was by accident, but you got to understand on my side, the kimbap story.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Because you mentioned about Kakao, and I'm like, oh my God, that kimbap story just popped in my head.
Oh my God, okay.
I hated you so much. I had to the point where I dreamt about you and thought you were like dead.
That's how much you cared?
That's how much I cared.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's when I realized, fudge, I'm like falling for this guy, and I don't know if he's like on the same boat as me. So that's why I was poking you.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the kimbap story. So we're going to go a little back prior to that. So prior to that, there was this...
Well, let's just say this is the reason why I poked him a lot and he thought it was childish.
So while we were going back and forth joking on like Kakao Talk or whatever, right? Katuk or whatever, and we were just going back and forth. There was this time I went to Sacramento. And when I was in Sacramento, my mom makes amazing food.
Yes,
and she
does.
made me kimbap. If you don't know what kimbap is, it's like a seaweed wrap, like luncheon meat.
Korean sushi roll.
Yeah, Korean sushi roll that people put in their toshirak or their
bento,
their lunch boxes. And so I sent her a picture of it. She was like, oh, it looks great. It looks delicious. But as I was texting her this picture, it was when I was on my way to the airport back to LA from Sacramento. I left my phone in my cousin's truck. And so I left it there, and then I couldn't find my phone. I was freaking out. And then I found out my cousin, he messaged me through it was either Facebook or something else that I left my phone. I was like, okay, it's there. Here's the problem. I couldn't contact her. The reason why is because all of her handles, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, wasn't her name. It wasn't her name. So I couldn't find her through Instagram. I couldn't find her through Facebook.
Here's the thing, though. You could have found a way by talking to your friends. You could have asked Julia, Ed, anyone.
No, Julia.
You could have asked Ed. Ed and I, we had other social media connections.
I could have asked Ed, right? But at the time, Ed was trying to hit on you.
I don't know if that's allowed to say.
We are allowed to say it.
No!
Ed was trying to hit on.
So, don't say that.
No, it's too late.
No,
so like it felt weird for me to try to ask a guy that was trying to hit on you at the same time. So I was like, that's a little odd, right?
Take that out.
No, we're gonna keep that in. That's honest. Who cares? It doesn't matter. And so at the time, I was like, I can't really ask him because it's weird, right? So I kind of was stuck, and then my phone was gonna come in 2 days anyways. So those 2 days, you were messaging me, and I didn't see it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's your side of the story, right? My side is that you sent me this picture, and I messaged you back, and I'm like, oh, it looks really good. I don't hear back from him from a whole day, right? And I'm on my Instagram. Funny thing is, his Instagram is constantly getting updated. And I'm like, and then apparently it was like a really sad Instagram of someone passing away. And so I got really worried. And so I kept messaging him. I'm like, hey, is everything all right? And I get no response from him. I have a horrible dream that something happened to him. And I'm like, couldn't fall asleep. And I wake up the next day and instead of being worried, I got mad. I got so mad. I was like, this guy is totally playing with me. I'm so done with this. And then as soon as I was thinking about that, he messaged me. He's like, hey, I'm sorry. I left my phone at like my cousin's car, da da da. And I was like, then how the hell did you update your Instagram?
iPad. I have an iPad.
And he's like, I have my iPad. I was like, thank God.
Yeah, because I had my iPad.
I was so mad at you. And I had so much thinking, like so many thoughts were going through my head. I was talking to my friend. My friend was like, you seem so frazzled and like all over the place. I'm like, I am. I'm like, this guy's driving me nuts. And then my friend was like, who is this guy? I'm like, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going to happen. And then you text me back. And after that, I was like, you know what? I got to figure this out. That's when I started poking you.
You know what was so funny too? Because when I saw that message and you texted me something else after, I was like, she's going to be pissed. I already knew right off the bat. So the first message that I sent you was super long because I had explained everything. I was like, I left my car. I left my phone in my cousin's car. You don't have your Facebook. I can't find you through your Facebook. You had all your Facebook, Instagram, all your social handles.
My Facebook is on my name though.
It wasn't.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Mariel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What did you tell me your name was?
Mariel.
No, it wasn't.
What the freak? Ed knows me as Mariel.
I might have put it in Mary, but I couldn't find you on Facebook because we didn't have any connected friends or something. But I couldn't find you on Facebook. I couldn't find you on Instagram.
You're such a liar.
Listen to me. If I liked you and I was pursuing you that much, don't you think I would have done everything to hit you up?
You didn't ask Ed.
That's different though. That's a very awkward situation.
And you could say it out loud now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How? Okay, whatever.
And so I didn't find you. And my phone was coming in a couple days too. And so I just explained myself through that I couldn't message you because of these reasons. And I remember you mentioned the Instagram thing. I was like, because of my iPad, I had that. And we don't have any other friends connected besides that one person. Mm-hmm. Everybody else wasn't. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying? So I couldn't find you. But when I finally got my phone back, I did message you.
Man, what if I went for the other guy at that time?
You wouldn't have, dude.
Oh, you had that much 자신감?
Hell yeah, I did. You wouldn't have.
Wow, is that why you didn't search enough?
No, okay, shut the hell up. Okay, so
I fell for it.
After this, we had a conversation where we're gonna go back, where she kept on doing this thing where she kept poking me, and I
have a good reason, right?
I don't know if that's a good reason.
I think, dude, you should have been on my shoes. Oh my gosh, I was dying for 2 nights.
Yeah, but I explained myself.
Yeah, but 2 nights I couldn't sleep. It was a disaster. And I was like, you know what? And you had that much confidence in me. So I was like, you know what? This guy better not be playing with me. That's why I started poking you.
Yeah. And so this kind of goes into what I said to her after. And this goes to that attribute of me being really straightforward. And I said this to her during a text, and she was doing that crap again. And I got really upset, and I kind of snapped. And I was like, hey, listen, I remember what I said too, because it was so precise. Because when I sent it, I was very confident about it, but after I sent it, I regretted it. I was like, oh God, she's going to hate me. So like I sent it with such confidence, but afterwards I was like,
you regretted it?
She's going to leave me.
You know what's weird though? I didn't see that as like being like aggressive or mad. I thought it was just like a sincere
It was very
text.
sincere, but it was like I wanted to cut through the bullshit, right? So
you know what's so funny though?
What?
I wanted that. That's what I was waiting for.
That's so damn annoying. That's so
but
annoying.
But it's true, like, because I wanted to know what you wanted from me.
I already told you though.
Relax.
That's the thing. No, I'm not going to relax. I already told you. Like, I don't know how, like, it was so obnoxious because I was so straightforward with how I felt, how I behaved around you. Like, it was already there. Like, how straightforward I was after that was ridiculously straightforward.
그런가?
You know, it was extreme. So what I wrote to her was this. I goes, hey, like, I don't know if you have something confused or not, but right now you have something twisted. I said, I'm not trying to figure out if I'm good for you. I'm trying to figure out if you're good for me. I actually don't know you and I don't owe you anything. So I've told you how I felt. This is how I feel. And if you got to figure out what you want to do on your end. So I told you this is how I am. So you need to figure it out. And then you let me know. And I just ended the conversation. And then after that, I just kind of ended it and I went to sleep and I thought, oh God, David, you idiot. Like you're so mean. I was like,
and this was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
When you were having a drink with Paul, right? Paul.
Was it with Paul that I was?
It was like you were having a drink with Paul.
Oh, that's right. I was a little drunk. That's right.
Yeah, it was like almost like a tipsy text.
I was a little tipsy.
You wrote really well.
Yeah. And so I told her, that's right, I was tipsy. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was drinking with Paul that night at my place.
And I think that's why I took it more sincere, because you were drunk and you still had,
I was tipsy.
Honest
and then,
message.
I just wrote it straightforward. I was like, you need to figure out what you want, because I already told you how I felt. And when I go back in time, I look at it, I was like, that is true though. Like, I told you how I felt. This is what I am. So I'm tired of you pitting me against somebody else who I really don't care about. You just need to figure it out on your end. I'm honest.
So that's when I ended with that guy, because that was like the time where he wanted to move forward to it, and I was hesitant because I felt like my heart was towards someone else.
If I wasn't there, would you have moved forward with him?
Maybe. If he was the only one, possibly.
Really?
Not. I don't know. I don't think so.
Because it didn't seem like you liked him.
I think I saw him more as a friend.
Yeah.
Because when he did make that move, I was like, I'm kind of tired. I'm going to go home. Yeah. And then all I could think about was messaging you. Oh my God. Oh, not it.
Told you she liked me.
Anyway. Oh my God. Talk sad. So after you messaged me that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell this guy. And he took it really cool. Like, he was like, hope for the best for you too, blah, blah, blah.
I hope he make you very happy.
He definitely didn't have that accent. Okay. Oh my God. He's not from Russia. He's just Russian American.
I hope he make you very happy. In Mother Russia, you would be wife already.
Ew, that sounds so... I mean...
you don't think it sounds very sexy? Little Asian woman, would you like to be my wife?
I like the Filipino accent. I like your Filipino accent.
Please take my hand and never forget about the love that I'm going to give you.
I like it so much. But yeah, anyway, so after that, I cut it off. And then, what was it? Like late that night, the next day or something, like I kept messaging him, like, hey, we need to meet up.
Yeah.
And then you're like, can we meet up now? I'm like, no, it's too late. We got to meet up in the next morning.
Yeah, and I was like, no, let's meet up now, because it was going to bother me all night.
It was bothering me that I had to tell you, but like it was so late at night. I didn't want to like.
It was late. It was like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Yeah, it was super late.
So we met up in the morning at a restaurant in Larchmont.
It was in Larchmont. It was Larchmont Bungalow.
Mm-hmm. And that's when we had the talk and decided to get together.
You see how annoying it was for me to get with you?
How long was that?
That was like a 4-month ordeal. It was so obnoxious.
And was it worth it? We're still together.
So don't you ever question my love? 4 months for us to finally get together. And it's not like I played any games. That was the annoying thing. I didn't play games. So I don't understand.
That's true.
So I was like, okay, what is she trying to figure out? Like, either say yes or no.
Yeah. I mean, because it was you. I mean, to be honest, your career is not like a average career.
Of course.
There's a lot of things that will be part of my life that I wasn't aware of, or I don't even know what it's gonna be like. Like, because when we go on dates, like you get so much attention from people, and I'm just like not aware of it and don't know how to react to it. And like, is this gonna be like a forever thing? There's just a lot of obligations that I didn't know how I should react or if I should consider about it.
Yeah.
And then later on, like when I got to know you, I was like, you know what? Those are just like, that's just his career. It's nothing more than that, because like I wasn't sure if you were gonna be a different person when you're around your fans or like when you have the spotlight, but you were just you.
Yeah.
And I just had to see those kind of moments and make myself feel comfortable. And so once I saw that, and I was like, he seems like a good guy, genuine guy, no two-face.
I felt like you thought that I slept around with a lot of women. Like I was just a dude that just slept with everybody, which I'm not.
But I didn't know that.
I understand, but like I guess I did it.
And because you're such an easygoing guy and who's really like funny and you could talk to anyone, that I thought you could do that with anyone as well. That's why.
Well, I speak very well. So Julia was producing that sketch, and even she knew that I was really attracted to you.
Yeah.
Julia is probably the only person ever that actually saw me flirt with somebody, like in that type of context. Because people see me be friendly with everybody, whether it's a guy or girl, right? And so they would see this friendliness and like, oh, is he flirting with this girl? I'm like, that's not flirting. There's a difference. And Julie's the only one that saw the difference. Because even Julia was like, oh, he's really friendly. But, you know, like, is he trying to be flirtatious or not? And then she saw the difference. She goes, oh, that's friendly David. Flirty David is way different.
Yeah, I remember she was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Like once we got together, Julia was like, I knew it. I knew it from the get-go.
Yeah, so when people see me around, like my homegirls, right? Sometimes if people don't know who we are, they're like, oh, they have a flirtatious relationship. I'm like, that's not flirtatious. Like, that's not me being flirty at all whatsoever. Because how I interact with them is how I also interact with the dudes. You know what I mean? Because I'm not scared of my sexuality.
I didn't know how you interact with other friends.
Yeah.
Because that was my first time really engaging with you. I mean, I saw you work with Arden, but that was at the same time like you guys were working. So like I didn't know any
because Arden and I joke around a lot, right? But I don't flirt with her. Like that's not flirting.
So
yeah, at that time too, or even any other time, I was never attracted to her. So it's like, you know, it's very platonic. You know what I mean? I mean, just because I make somebody laugh or we have a good time, it doesn't mean that I'm attracted to them. And I think for a lot of people too, they don't see, I guess like having platonic opposite sex relationships, it's kind of hard to see just because arguably so, I do understand because a lot of guys have an ulterior motive when they hang out with the girl one-on-one.
Exactly.
And it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like I say, for me, what I've seen from my experience, I've seen it happen like I say 80% of the time is because a guy wanted something else.
It's like 90% of the time with me. So, you know, that's why I had to be very cautious with you.
You didn't have to because I told you what I wanted.
Yeah, but everybody says like, oh, I'm just being a nice oppa. And next
Not
thing
me.
you know.
I was trying to be a dog. I was like, what's up, lady? What you doing? And I didn't even, I remember.
All right, because that's how I like it.
I was like, what's up, lady? How
Oh
you
my
doing?
gosh.
Where you going, little mama?
Something fell. Hold on.
What fell? Oh, yeah. Here, give me that. This thing is a piece of crap, dude.
Oh, is that for the headphone?
Yeah, I bought this for no reason. Yeah, but I was very straightforward. You just played so much games.
You know, I thought a lot of guys were straightforward too, and then I learned my lessons. Anyway, but the conclusion is that we've been together for over 4 years, and
what would have happened if I ran away from all that stuff, all those obstacles you put in front of me? You know what you are? This is what it is. It's like you're that person where we're driving on the freeway, and I'm that nice Samaritan that saw your gas tank open, and I'm catching up to you to tell you your gas tank's open, but you're like, oh, this person's trying to start a fight. You're running away from me on the highway, and I'm just trying to tell you, hey, lady, your gas tank's open.
You know why? It's because the way you interact and you say things and the way you look like you would do that.
You're judging a book by its cover.
I sure am. You know what? Sometimes you just have to, because after being convinced so many times, we thought it was good, but it wasn't. You just have to end up judging by its cover sometimes. You just gotta be like, you gotta just have that extra step,
I think it's okay for you to be cautious, but there are times where when we were going out too, there was somebody that was around her, right? That was trying to do, I guess, the quote unquote oppa thing. Right? It wasn't, it was.
Okay, keep going.
So basically she was getting a new job somewhere. And this person, right, who she just met was telling her like, oh, I can help you out with this. I can help you out with that. She just met this dude. And I looked at her, I was like, you know, this guy's hitting on you, right? Like there's no ulterior motive for somebody that you just met to bend over backwards to help you out in a career that he gains nothing from. And you're a very cute, pretty girl. And this guy's always asking you out to go have dinner and stuff and drinks. And I'm like, you do know that he's hitting on you, right? And then I remember you got upset at me because you're like, oh, you brought up your parents, which really pissed me off. I remember this conversation very well because you were talking about how your parents don't trust you and they don't even give you a chance and stuff. And I was like, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like, I know guys and he's clearly hitting on you. He's asking you out to dinner. He's paying for dinner. He's doing this. He's going the extra step. And then what happened? And then afterwards you had that dinner and I was like, all right, cool. We'll just see what's going to happen. And then he started making like sexual jokes and advances you at the dinner. And then you came back and you called me and you're like, hey, so this is what happened. And I was like, what? And I felt so vindicated because you made at that time, you made me feel like I was that overly jealous boyfriend. And for me, it was, the signs were clear as day, right? It wasn't even like the dude was trying to hide it. It was just like, oh, he's asking you out on a date. And you're like, no.
Well, I didn't think it was a date because it was some janky place where we just found around the corner. And I was like, okay, let's just have dinner here, whatever.
But see, that's what I'm saying.
And then, well, the thing is, like, it's hard because he was kind of there for me to get my job. Not that he did anything, but he was just kind of there for me. And then, you know, as appreciation. Like, I was like, oh yeah, let's have dinner. So it was really nothing. And then when we really started to talk, like, he just kind of went to a different topic where I was very uncomfortable. And so after that, I didn't hang out with him at all.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, a good sign for young ladies out there, if there's a guy that you met that bends over backwards to help you out in something that has nothing to do with him, asks you out to dinner, there's definitely an ulterior motive, right? Not to that person's fault. It's just that's what it is. You just can't go in there naive thinking like, oh, this guy is just gonna set me up for the future for no reason.
That I wasn't thinking, though. Like, I wasn't, like, gomasuru.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? Gomasuru, like,
I said, yeah, I didn't even know what it is.
I know. You're like, yeah, no.
Just gonna move on from it.
Like, it's not like I was, like, sucking up to him or anything.
Yeah.
It was just
but
like...
you don't have to, because he wants something from you.
Oh, that's so weird, because he was married.
It doesn't matter if the dude's married or not. It doesn't mean...
See, this is exactly why, because I still fall into those, like, traps. So that's why I'm, like, extra cautious when it comes to, like, someone saying, I want to date with you.
Yeah. Because a creep's a creep. Doesn't matter if they're married or not. They're still a creep.
So then,
right? So that's like for us too. Like, she knows the rule. It's like, for me, you have to admit, I'm very whatever. Whoever you hang out with is fine, right? It's just very specific situations. Like, you hang out with a guy one-on-one. Cool. I just got to know who he is. You don't have to ask me permission. I just got to know who that guy's face is, and he has to meet me. I just want to meet him. So he knows the face, who I am. It's like, oh, cool. Nice to meet you. My name is David, blah, blah, blah. It's not like I'm telling you, have her back at a certain time. It's not that. It's just, for me, it's more like, I'm not worried about what you'll do. I just know how guys are.
That sounds like a dad thing.
I guess so. It's about people I care about,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's just like, cool. He just has to know my face. So if he knows my face, something will pop up in his head and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't, right? Whether you don't know. Like I said, you already know this too. There's a bunch of dudes that act like they're your friends, and for what reason would a guy that you just met want to always hang out with you one-on-one all the time? It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? So mind you, all your friends that you met prior to me, that if they're guys, I don't ever question it. They've been around before me. I don't know your relationship. I just know that they've been around and you guys have been friends, so I'm okay with it. If it's a new person in your life that you just met, I would like to meet this dude because I don't know him. I don't trust him.
What if you have one-on-one, whether it's work-related or not, you have one-on-one with the lady, but I never met that person?
I think if it's work-related, you should be okay because it's just
Because
work.
I thought that was work-related.
What was work-related?
The guy who I had dinner with.
But it wasn't, though.
Well, I only found out after the fact.
Yeah, but you guys weren't doing work.
We were talking about work.
Not really, though. That wasn't...
Well, that was my intention.
Yeah.
It's not like I wanted to be friends or like talk about something outside of work. It was
because
purely about
you
work
guys
related.
could do that at like lunch getting coffee.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, I wasn't thinking about, let's plan to have lunch and talk about work. It was just like we were having a conversation. It was late after work. And it's like, let's go eat. I'm like, okay. Because we were talking about
But
work.
there were like clear other signs too that was like so glaring.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, what if you had the situations where you had one-on-one with a girl who I've never met? Like,
if it's work related, I don't think you should be worried because you see me work. I'm very work. Like even the first time that we met, right? When it was work related, it was just work.
but it's not about you per se.
But and on top of that too, like I think like with dinner and stuff like that, most likely I would meet them up for lunch, daytime, coffee. I'm not trying to meet them at night. Unless I've had a relationship with them before, right?
Mm-hmm. So you would never have like even early dinner with a girl?
Most likely not. If it does
But it does happen.
Maybe. It's been a while though. Like I can't even remember the time that I met somebody new, a girl, that I've had dinner with one-on-one that you didn't know.
I know. I don't know a lot of your girlfriends already to begin with.
You
but
do.
Then,
You know most of them.
But then you also had a relationship prior to seeing me.
Yeah, well, if it's girls that's been around before you should know that if we've been friends for like 5+ years and nothing's happened, it's not going to happen now. You know what I mean? That's like the same thing for you. Like a guy that's been around for whatever, 10+ years or 5+ years and nothing's happened. Pretty
So let's
much safe
just
with
say
it.
you meet a new friend who's a girl, right? You just met a new friend and let's just say you have this opportunity to have a dinner.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or like hang out one-on-one, daytime, whatever. Like, are you planning to introduce her to me first, or just how does that work?
I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about that because it doesn't ever happen.
Because it doesn't happen, but what if it does happen? Because you want me to introduce my guy friends to you first before we hang out on one-on-one if it does happen, right? Usually I don't hang out one-on-one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't really happen a lot with us, right? So
like, do you expect yourself to introduce that?
Well, like, for example, you go somewhere, right? And the only reason why I bring that up is because, like, for example, you went on a trip with a coworker, right? And you met up your friends over there. And you guys are snowboarding buddies, right? Let's say something happens to you. I don't have a contact. Like, I don't have a contact. So
it's like, okay. That's like extreme because that's like me going somewhere, but then just like hang out.
Yeah, I mean, that's your choice. You just have to tell me. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to have dinner with this dude. It's like, cool. Who is he? You know, I want to know who he is.
But then if you never met him, let's just say we have a lunch or something. Or,
that's fine. Lunch, coffee, whatever. That's cool.
But dinner is different.
Dinner is different depending on who brought it up. Like, it's like a gut feeling for me, right? So most likely, because if a guy didn't,
that's so weird. Where did dinner become like?
Because it's a lot more intimate, right? And it's just from my experience, and you've experienced it too with me, where a guy usually asks you out to dinner. It's such an intimate, long thing. There's something that's expected after. Daytime is not like that.
So.
Right? So like the typical thing is a guy and a girl go out to dinner, they have a few drinks and they hook up.
That's it.
What does that mean?
It's so complicated.
Yeah. So that's like the I guess like traditionally what happens, and it does happen.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
So my thing is like, okay, if this guy who just met you wants to get to know you, why does it have to be over dinner where the person buys the dinner for you and everything else? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, would you do that for somebody you don't care about? You know what I mean? And
makes sense.
More oftentimes than not, that's what happens in my experience too, and also in your experience. So that's why. If it was a case where it wasn't like that most of the time, then I'd be way more comfortable. But like you even said, I said 80%. You said 90% of the time.
そうだね.
So you know what I mean? You had that personal experiences, so have I, and we've talked about it. So that's why I'm more wary of it.
Usually, if I'm like comfortable with that friend, then having dinner wouldn't be. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because even when you were comfortable with your friend, they still did it. Like friends that you were comfortable with, they still did it. Right? See, that's what I'm saying. So it's happened so many times to you because you're a very sweet girl, and they take your kindness as affection.
そうだね. Good thing you're around.
Yeah. So that's why. Like, if you were a type of girl that I knew that you were just straight up, straightforward, like I am, right? Like, girls are also, there's certain girls that are very good at like, nah, like you ain't, there's nothing.
Well, I say that after the fact. Oh, because like, I mean, granted, like I was single back then when they did ask me, so there was no wrongdoing, I guess. It's just like maybe I gave the wrong message, but afterwards I'd be like, you're my friend, and then I would never see them.
Yeah, but it would have to get to that point. I'm saying.
I know.
There are certain girls that are very good at being straightforward with how they feel, right? Like guys can sense it right off the bat, like boom, we're just friends. You don't have that.
Really?
You're very friendly. Like you don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah, because you're too. You think everybody's a nice person.
No.
That's how you behave, though.
Really?
You don't have that thing where it's set out in front, like, hey, you're not going to get something from me. It's not like that. That's why that happens to you so often.
Not these days.
No, still these days too.
Really?
Yeah. Like if I wasn't around, if they didn't see my face everywhere online, you know what I mean? And it was very well known that I'm a big angry Korean dude. It would probably be a very different situation
You're
for
not
you.
Angry.
I'm not. But like it would be a very different situation for you.
I guess, yeah. It's in a way, it's kind of, I do feel a little bit protected that people do know.
They know who I am, right? Because if not, I'm pretty sure they would have stepped to you a lot earlier.
What can I say?
It's because you don't have that thing where you're like, hey, boom, this is what it is. You just don't have it. Yeah. It's not like a bad thing, It's just that for you, you're just being yourself, and people take that kindness as something else. And some of these dudes, they just like, okay, well, why not? I'll try. Like even the guy that was married, he was married. He didn't care. He just saw this girl that wanted to go have drinks and dinner with him. And he was like, oh, maybe I could try this out. So he tested his waters. Ugh. And that's what people do. They test their waters. They go, well, let's see how far I can get away with this. Right. And that's why you see like in coworker situations where ladies do and guys do cheat on their spouse because there's somebody who, even though they know that they're married, they'll test that water and they'll see what'll happen. Maybe something's wrong in their relationship. Maybe I could be that person that's going to step in. I'm not saying it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But people do that. It does happen.
Well, Well, please don't take advantage of my kindness, people.
Yeah, it happens though.
Yeah, you're right. I'm too kind time to time.
Yeah, it's not a bad quality though. It's a really good quality that you have. It's just I think sometimes like because you are such a kind person, people don't see you as being somebody who's very street savvy. And you don't. I mean, should we live in a world where you have to be like that?
Yeah, I just want to be me, and I don't want to change myself just for the others.
Yeah, I don't think you should either. I think one of the things that maybe you could try is just actually I don't know. I think you're doing perfectly fine. I think you're perfectly fine. I don't think you should have to change yourself for how other people behave. I think that
내 잘못 아니잖아.
yeah. So I'm thinking just for you, just have a little more street savviness to know to put it out like, hey, boom, this is what it is. And you'll see too, once you put it out, they stop being as friendly to you, as nice to you. They stop doing stuff for you. You know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, so now you could really see the motive because what happened to this kindness before is because they're not getting what they want out of you.
I've definitely had those moments already. So
exactly.
It just sucks.
And it's such a D-bag thing to do. It's like, oh yeah, of course. And they say, what did they say? They go, oh, I knew we were just friends. Could it? Then what happened to what happened to all the nice stuff? Like you just stopped being nice, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're opening the door for yourself. You're doing all these other things because you're like, oh, maybe that's just a nice guy thing. It's like, no, because they wanted something out of me and they didn't get it and they know they're not going to get it. So they stopped doing that stuff.
Bastards.
Yeah, just how some guys are. Not all guys, but those were the situations that you would get in. That's why for me, I'm a little more wary with you just because I know how nice you are. So now I'm like, okay, like is this guy going to try to take advantage of my girlfriend? And that's what I think now because it happened a couple times. Now it's like, okay, now I got to see this guy's face.
Really? That's how you feel now?
Yeah. So I want to see the dude's face. I want to talk to the guy. So at least they know who I am. They know my voice and they know that
that means you should come to more of my like events that I go to. Not that I have a lot of events, but
But you know, they should know. And so like for me, it's like, okay, maybe I am being a little overprotective, but because it's happened a lot and I know that you're just a very sweet person that I just don't want.
You got to know though, I do take care of myself very well.
You do. I don't think I don't want it to get to that point.
I don't think I could. I mean, for someone who's been in different countries and different, living in different countries, meeting a lot of different guys, like I don't think I ever put myself in that situation where it was dangerous.
Or you just got really lucky a lot. You've had some pretty terrible stories though.
I did have terrible stories, but God loves me, protected me. Thank the Lord. But I think I've been at least somewhat smart enough not to get myself into
some of those stories
trouble.
that you told me gave me anxiety though. I'm like, how did you come out fine?
God loves me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I get worried sometimes.
Well, I mean, and also I was really young. I was reckless and young.
Yeah.
Like I'm a lot better and I don't put myself in that kind of situations.
No.
So don't you worry, honey.
I know. I just feel like as we gotten together longer too, like I think like when you care about somebody more, you do think about them a lot, so if I see certain habits that you have, I mean, for you too and me, like, I have certain habits. Every time I leave, you're like wallet, phone, keys. How many times have I lost those things? Right? Or before I leave, you're like, don't hurt yourself. Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Like,
and you hate hearing those.
I hate hearing, but you're right though. Because I always lose my wallet, phone, and keys, and I always hurt myself.
Yeah.
So like those things are just stuck in our head because we have seen a pattern of us kind of like being in those bad situations, and you do that for me, and so I'm just trying to do it for you. Because it's not me saying like, oh, you shouldn't hang out with this person. It's like, no, I just want to see that person, so I could do my due diligence as a boyfriend.
Sure.
And I could the least I could do is do that, right? Be like, hey,
this is why I don't. This is where I realize that emotions are so sensitive with relationship, like compared to friendship, because like you would never, I mean, you see all those habits with your long-term friends, but then you never think about like getting super worried about that and like, kind of nagging to them like, don't forget this, remember not to do that.
Yeah.
But then you do that with your relationship and then it does become like, oh, you sound like my parents, or like you get agitated because you already know what your habits are. You don't need to hear it again. But then you can't help but to worry about that person. You say it and you know that they don't need to hear it per se, but then you still have to say it.
Because I feel like it's a checklist for us, because it goes, at least I did my due diligence to tell that person. So now it's your responsibility about whether it happens to you or not.
But then that comes to, I told you so. I hate that.
I've never said I told you so though.
True.
I've always felt it, but I've never said it.
I say that a lot. And I hate it. I'm like, God, I don't like saying that. I feel like a little,
in my mind, I'm like, I told you so. But I never say it out loud because I know it would piss you off. Couldn't you say that to me a lot?
Do you get pissed off on that?
No, because it's your right. But then you and I are different.
そうだね.
Like how you take information or I told you so is way different than I'll say it. I'll take it. Because when you say I told you so, I just get more embarrassed. I'm just like, yikes.
Yeah, I don't. At least you don't get triggered.
I don't get mad. I just get embarrassed because you were right. Yeah, I'm a little kind of like, 좀 부끄러워. I'm like,
really?
I'm like, ooh, she's right.
I hope you can say out loud and admit it. Be like, you're right.
Nah, I'm not going to admit it, but you should know.
You'd never say that.
You should know though.
Because I say out loud, I'm like, you're right, you're right.
Yeah. I do though. Sometimes.
Rarely.
It's because usually I'm right. That's
Rarely.
why. Because I'm rarely wrong.
Stubborn boyfriend.
Yeah. But those are like the differences between me and you.
Yeah. But yeah, so all of those and we're still hanging.
Yeah. I mean, you're different, but you're not that different. I think you're different. Like the biggest hurdle that I had to go through with you was how you were raised compared to how I was raised. Like you grew up very sheltered. I didn't grow up sheltered. I was thrown into like the fire.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess. I
was in a bubble.
Yeah, you were like that Chino Hills Diamond Bar bubble.
I was like the girl from Mean Girls, living in Africa, like just in my own world. Yeah. And all of a sudden I had to engage with all these people I've never engaged. Yeah. Like different colors, different people, using different languages. It was just like, and you lived among those people. Yeah. And I didn't even know how to work with schools. Like how, it's weird because people see like cultural diversity in two different ways, right? They go, oh, I grew up in a very diverse area. And what they say by diverse, they just mean that I grew up with other people who weren't white. And that doesn't mean diverse. Like you've seen my group of friends back in Sacramento, right? You've seen, I hang out with a bunch of like Middle Eastern people, Vietnamese, Chinese, white, black, Mexican. It's all mixed. Yeah. You know, like we all interact with each other. We understand each other's culture. We're hyper respectful of each other just because that's what we grew up in. You know, that's what I loved about Sacramento a lot. And I realized with you actually didn't grow up like that. So when I would show you the weddings that I would take you to, my friends are like, whoa, what is this? Fascinated.
It was fascinating for you because you grew up in a hyper Chinese area. Chinese and Korean, that's it. My Korean interaction was when I went to Korean church. But then at school, it was Vietnamese, black, Mexican, white.
I mean, we had those, we had diversity too, but then we hung out with our own culture. Yeah. So like, yeah, we had black, Vietnamese, Indians in our school, but I've never seen them because we only hung out with my group was full of Chinese. Yeah. So we just hung out with only our clique. So that's all I knew. Like I knew Jay Chow from, you know, like I know when his concerts were. I know what F4 was, which is this Chinese, what is it? Boys Over Flower type of boy band. Like I know all these Chinese stuff. Was it Wang Li Home? Yeah. But like I didn't know anything else outside of that. And I knew my Korean stuff because I'm Korean. Yeah. By the way, I'm 7.5 Japanese.
7.5% Japanese.
Yes.
Honto desu.
I'm so proud of that right now because my dad, I told myself, I was like, my dad looks very Japanese. He must be Japanese. Oh. I understand his bulgy eyes. Anyway, yeah, so when you told me after I met you, I really understood what diversity meant. Because LA is not diverse at all.
Yeah, LA's diversity is very different. It's like there is a lot of cultures and languages here, but it seems very spread out. Yeah. There's Thai Town, there's Little Armenia, there's Little Saigon, there's like, I don't know, whatever. All those different ethnicities are separate and they kind of kick it with themselves, but in a certain radius. Yeah. Sacramento's more mixed, right? So we do have that in Sacramento too, like LA does, but you'll see a lot of people mix their cultures together, right?
I think that's why I like a lot of Sac people. They're just so chill.
Yeah, I mean, we're a smaller town too, and there isn't like that celebrity dream here. So people aren't pretending to be something that they're not. You know, I feel like a lot of the times when people say, especially about LA people, they go, "Oh, these LA people are like this." I don't think it's the people who grew up and live in LA. It's everybody else who comes into the city that makes it that way because they believe that they have to act a certain way to be LA like. Yes. All my close friends here are from LA.
Because we don't act like that.
They're very down to earth and chill because that's their hometown. They don't have to be anything that they're not. This is just who they are. Yeah. So that perception that people have of LA is very skewed. Yeah. You know?
And then not to mention, like, because I lived in different places when I was younger. Yeah. Like, I was always, you know, I don't know if you felt this way, but then wherever I moved to, I always felt like I was the outsider. Like, even though I was Korean, or I am Korean, like when I moved to Korea when I was younger, I felt like an outsider because I didn't know how to speak their language. And then I did go to international school. So there were somewhat Americans there, but then the Americans were outsiders. And I hated that. And it was like, oh man, Koreans were so evil, those girls. And so I
Those
hated
little Korean girls, yeah.
Korean girls, man. Regardless of their age, man, they could get evil. But that said, I hated it. So my parents and I, we finally decided to come back here. And then, you know, because I got so used to Korean culture, like when I came back here, I didn't know how to speak the language here.
Yeah.
I was just like, felt like another outsider. And then not to mention, I went to a private school and I went to a Christian school and there were no Asians there. It was all black, white, Mexican.
Yeah.
And I felt even more outsider because I not only did I not know the language, but I didn't know the culture and I didn't know the people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was always in my bubble. Like, I was like, I just have my little dolls like I could talk to. I felt like Calvin and Hobbes. Like, I was Calvin. And it wasn't until Diamond Bar where I finally settled and, you know, I got to find my people.
It's hard to kind of settle or figure out a group of friends when you're always bouncing around back and forth.
Yeah,
It's
I didn't know who I was.
And a lot of the times when you're super young, like your identity is based on the people you're around because you're so influential. But you know, you're absorbing so many different cultures, so many different languages. You just kind of don't know where to fit in.
Yeah.
And then who knows how long you're going to stay there because you might move again.
Yeah.
So you can't even get attached to these people.
No.
It's rough.
That's why I play with my dolls.
That's why you talk to yourself all the time like a crazy person.
I do talk to myself a lot, which is quite entertaining.
That was the weirdest thing about her. Like I would see her, she's just talking in like 3 different languages, and I'm like, "Are you talking to me?" And she's like, "No, I'm just talking to myself." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I'm just having conversation to myself with different languages so I could keep it up. But look at me now. I can't speak Chinese. I
Yes, you can.
suck at it.
You're not as good as you were before, but you can still speak it.
Just very little.
Not a little.
Becky's
a lot.
dad was like, dude, what happened to your Chinese? It's so bad.
But even Bart says your Chinese is better than his, though.
I'm sure his is better now. Like, I don't have anyone to practice with. Chinese is something that you can't practice on your own, I realize. Like Japanese, Korean, I could totally
Well, when
do
you
that.
see Becky, you should just practice with Becky.
I do, time to time. But she's like, girl, your Chinese was better than mine. Like, what happened? I'm like, fudge.
Yeah, because you didn't do it. Oh, well, an hour and 6 minutes in or so. We did it. Or hours or so. See, that wasn't too bad, right? That first one, dude, we actually recorded the first one. It was so bad. You wouldn't speak.
I got really nervous.
Why? We talk like this all the time.
Doki doki suru, because you don't like my hyper emotional side of me.
I do like your hyper emotional side, especially on camera. It's perfect.
Just do mole camera.
Mole camera. Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this very special guest, man. It was very hard to get her on here, but you guys heard the whole origin story of how Mariel and I got together. There's a lot more to this story too, but that was just like the concise, like clean package version. But yeah, you guys could check us out on iTunes. We're talking about Spotify, Castbox, basically any audio platform you could see us there. I'm not going to say all the names, but I'm just saying the typical ones: iTunes, Spotify, and Castbox.
What's Castbox?
Castbox is like the audio platform that you use when you're on Android for podcasts and stuff. Yeah.
What about like audiobook? Was that for books only?
I think that's for books only. And yeah, man, we will see you guys next time. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, comments below, write about stuff that you want us to talk about, guests you want me to bring on, perspectives that you guys want us to, I guess, elaborate and speak on or something. I can't even speak English. Anyways, guys, check us out on iTunes as well. Give us that 5-star because we're going to need it. We're trying to get up there and smash this podcast space because we're offering something a little different. It's normal people with great perspectives and great ideas. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Peace.